Believe it or not, we are back.
It's us again, the Horror Guys.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
And as usual, we have 4 full-length movies and a short film for you. What do we got?
We got Hocus Pocus 2, brand new this year. We're going to raise some hell with Hellraiser, the reboot, the remake, the reimagination, whatever they call it.
All 4 of these this week are new.
And Kratt, an international film. And Margaux, a bit of science fiction horror.
Cool.
Although they don't call it science fiction, and they should.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that more later.
Technological horror.
Yeah.
All right. As usual, the podcast is brought to you by the Horror Guys Guides. Go to horrorguys.com/books. Pick up from our wide selection of nonfiction horror movie reference books. Or you can go over to the horrorguys.com/monthly to pick up any of the 13 issues of the Horror Bulletin monthly magazine. Ebooks and or paperbacks.
Do we have giveaways?
We got 2 giveaways.
I love to give away stuff.
Later on, we're going to talk about the movie Margaux, and we have several copies of those still to give away. And we have another one that we're going to talk about next week called The Visitor. A guy goes to his wife's parents' home and finds paintings of him.
And it's weird.
But they're old paintings.
Weird
It's very
stuff
strange.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah, we got 5 copies of The Visitor and several copies of Margaux to give away. How we want to do it?
They should email us. You think?
Tell you what, I don't even care. Email us, email@horrorguys.com and say, I would like The Visitor, or I would like Margaux, and I'll send you a promo copy.
Okay.
Or
Sounds good.
DM us at Twitter, at Horror
Bulletin.
Bulletin, at Horror Bulletin, or at Horror Movie Guys. Don't send it to @HorrorGuys. That's not us.
And they would say, what giveaway? What? Margaux? What's a Margaux?
Horror Movie Guys or Horror Bulletin on Twitter. Yes, and we've got Margaux, the technological house horror, and The Visitor. It's sort of a mystery thing with paintings in an old house. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or, if you're on Facebook and you're part of our Facebook group, which is Horror Guys Podcast, contact us there too. Mm-hmm. I don't care how you do it. Just give us a yell and say, I'd like a movie.
We want to give these away.
All right. So anyway, speaking of the Horror Bulletin, over at horrorbulletin.com this week on our free, still totally free, bonus newsletter, we've got 3 things for you this week. We've got, what do we got?
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
We've got Halloween Ends.
Halloween Ends. Yes, we saw it right away.
Right when it first came out.
And we wrote a review as soon as we finished it, practically.
We either loved it or we hated it, and you're going to have to look over there and find out.
You'll have to find out.
Although I don't think our review was much different than anyone else's.
And there's really a lot of reviews out there already.
Pretty unanimous on this one. Mm-hmm. We also watched Mockingbird Lane from 2012. A couple weeks ago, we did the Munsters reboot from Rob Zombie, and that got me going on the Munsters kick, so I wanted to watch this other reboot of the Munsters from 2012.
This was really interesting. They tried to bring it back as a TV show again.
Without the comedy.
They had it's got quite a bit of comedy.
But it's not a silly comedy.
It's a lot more gory and scary and creepy than the original was. A lot more serious, a lot more horror to it.
Yeah, Herman is not green Frankenstein looking.
Yeah, he's human Frankenstein looking.
Because if you had a big green flat-top Frankenstein running around your neighborhood, you're not going to put up with that long.
He's all scarred up because he's assembled from parts.
Yeah, it's much more believable.
But it was interesting. They did a pilot episode that aired, and it was well received. But
everybody loved it,
but they decided
something came
not
along
to
and
go
they said
with it.
no.
Yeah, Jerry O'Connell and others are in it.
Yeah.
It was actually really good, but you can read about.
Yeah. And then we also did Marvel's new horror special called Werewolf by Night, available on, I believe, the Disney Channel. Mm-hmm. A 1-hour black and white version of their comic series, Werewolf by Night. And believe it or not, there's a werewolf in it.
There is. And other monsters, too.
And we liked it, yes.
Yeah.
We liked that and Mockingbird quite a bit.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about Halloween Ends right now. But, of course, if you're not a big reader, you can pick up our brand spanking new bonus podcast, which is currently going to be done every other week. Go to horrorbulletin.com, sign up for the weekly newsletter, and you'll get the usual weekly newsletter with all our, all the stuff from this podcast on it. And you'll also get the email newsletter with the bonus reviews on it, and the new bonus podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we usually do 2 bonus movies a week, so that to get 4, we do that every other week. So it's not going to be quite as prolific as this one.
But it'll be there.
Yeah, and we've already got one of those up there, so if you want to go over to horrorbulletin.com and listen to it, you can see how that works. Well, that's an awful lot of intro this week.
It sure was. We should talk about a horror movie.
Don't you just hate those podcasts that mention a topic and then takes them 25 minutes to get there?
Uh-huh.
So how was your day, Kevin?
Yeah.
What was dinner?
Now we should talk about something totally unrelated.
All right. That's still under 6 minutes. We're good.
Okay.
So
that wasn't so
we
bad.
didn't blather too much.
Yeah.
Oh, on the topic of blather, what's our first movie?
Hocus Pocus 2 from 2022.
Okay.
Oh, that wasn't what you had in mind with the first one?
Yeah,
okay.
it was.
Yeah.
Directed by Ann Fletcher, written by Jen D'Angelo, David Kirshner, and Blake Harris. Stars Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kathy Najimy. Hour 43 minutes. Trailer on YouTube if you had never heard of Hocus Pocus.
See, and I thought the first one was okay. I thought
Did you see it when it came out? Did you see it when you were little?
No, I saw it later.
Same time I did?
About, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was like 3 years ago for this show. I had never seen it before, never really cared.
Mm-hmm.
But there are so many people that it's like a Halloween tradition. They love Hocus Pocus. They sing
watch
the
it
song
every
and
year,
they
and
quote it
know
like
yeah.
It's like Rocky Horror for like 20-year-olds.
Well, I liked this one even less. This one just seemed more like a kid's movie and more.
Very much so, yes.
Yeah, it had some bright moments, but yeah.
It seemed like the first one, even though it had more kids in it, it had little kids in the first one. The humor was more adult.
Here they had teenagers not being teenagers. I mean, actors in their 20s playing teenagers.
And it felt like a Disney TV show from like the 90s.
Yeah, that same level of humor. And
yeah.
Yeah, just, yeah.
All right, spoiler free. This very much seems like a kid's movie. Mm-hmm. We just said that. It's silly and funny and has really good production values. It's not at all scary, but not particularly entertaining to us adult horror guys.
No, it wasn't.
I didn't care for it.
Not so much overall. No.
I liked the first one, but it's one of those things that its incredible popularity is beyond me. I don't get it.
Yeah, me too. I don't get it. Yeah.
But this one is just meh.
Yeah, this one
didn't care
I
for
didn't
it.
care for. Yeah.
What happens?
Well, a crow flies through Salem in 1653. An angry woman storms through town. It's Winifred Sanderson. She and her sisters are really young.
Like 10 years old or thereabouts.
Yeah, they're not quite witches yet. And apparently they've invented a magical formula that made Jell-O. Winifred is angry because she's getting older and must marry soon. It's Winnie's birthday, and the 2 other girls get her a big spider.
They're not actually witches, but they may as well be.
They're wannabe witches, yeah. There's a knock at the door, and it's the Reverend insisting that she marry John Pritchard. Well, John doesn't especially want to marry her because she's ugly and unpleasant.
She's got them big teeth.
Mm-hmm. Well, they had the look down, and I think the girls playing the younger versions of the 3 women really had it down with their mannerisms and the way they looked and had them made up. That was a nice. That was actually one of the pluses. One of the things I liked about it.
But they only had like 5 minutes of screen time, really.
Yeah, not enough. Well, more than 5, but a long intro. Well, the Reverend banishes Winnie from Salem forever. Just Winnie. Sarah and Mary are going to be adopted. And the 3 sisters create a distraction and run for the Forbidden Wood. Night falls and they hear singing. A witch flies in. Well, you are different from the other children I've eaten, she says. And these are the woods where witches go to recharge themselves. She likes them. She gives them a book of her spells. And the 3 girls sneak back into town and read the spells in the book. They get their revenge. Credits roll. They are witches now.
Now, I am not an expert in the lore of this series.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to the Red Witch in the beginning?
She just kind of went away.
Why?
We never saw her again.
Okay.
I don't know.
That just seems
retired
like a
to
very big loose end.
Retired to Florida or
Not
something.
a character from the first movie that I don't remember?
Not that I remember, or not that I know of.
Okay.
No.
Well, that's major loose end number one.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Well, in present day, it's Halloween, and it's also Becca's birthday. She and her friends Izzy and Cassie hang out every year, but not this year. The three have a reputation for doing witch stuff. Kind of Wiccan, kind of New Age kind of
Modern
stuff.
witches.
Yeah. Cassie's boyfriend, Mike, is an idiot, and he lets it slip there's a party tonight at Cassie's house. Cassie's father is the town mayor, and he's descended from Reverend Trask. Same actor, by the way, I noticed. He's really weird, like a father in a Disney show.
He's completely clueless. He's dumb. He's silly.
Like a father in a Disney show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The kids are always witty and smart and doing stuff under the parents' nose, and the parents are like, duh.
Uh-huh.
That's him.
That's the formula here. Yeah. Becca and Izzy go to the magic shop where Gilbert tells the story of the Sanderson sisters. He's got their book in a display case to keep the book from getting out. He explains that if a virgin lights the black candle on Halloween, the sisters will return to wreak their vengeance. Well, some swear that the sisters returned back 29 years ago, but the candle only brings them back for one night. Gilbert is weird too, like an adult in a Disney show.
Duh.
Yeah. He gives them a black candle, and he also gives them some angelica leaves, which removes curses.
You know that's going to come up later.
Mm-hmm. Becca and Izzy go out to their woods to do their usual ritual. They light the candle magically, and they're both surprised because it works. Well, suddenly the three sisters appear, singing "The Witches Are Back." And if they want to live past sunrise, they have to brew the potion and steal their souls. Steal their souls?
The young girls' souls.
The young girls, right, yeah. Winifred calls the book, but the book is locked up. Can't come to them. Well, the two girls convince the witches that they can help them buy potions. All they have to do is go to a local Walgreens, and they drink some face cream, thinking...
Really? It's youth potions. It'll make you younger.
Yeah. Well, then the three sisters run into three teens who are cosplaying as them. And there's multiple sets of three young people, not all women, cosplaying the witches.
These three witches are very famous in this town.
They're local legends. So, well, the witches figure out that they've been tricked, but the girls run away. They steal a broom, a Swiffer, and a pair of Roombas to fly away on.
It's all they had at Walgreens.
See, and that's another one of those funny touches.
I did like that part.
Yeah.
The Roombas or something.
Yes. Well, Izzy and Becca go back to Gilbert's and check out the book, which is awake now. He knew what the candle would do, and he gave it to them as a trick, because he wanted them to come back. The sisters come in, since this used to be their home. They throw the two girls in a dungeon as Gilbert tells them what he saw he saw them 29 years ago when the sun came up. So he wanted them back again. Mary finds a flyer for the mayor, and they think it's the Reverend again, the actual Reverend.
It looks just like him.
Mm-hmm. Winnie decides to do the Magicae Maxime. Was that how she pronounced it?
Works for me.
Yeah. The power spell that they promised the first witch they would never do. And the book doesn't like that idea. The book is kind of alive and got a mind of its own.
You don't really want to cast this spell.
Yeah.
You don't really want to do that.
But they force the issue. They order Gilbert to get the ingredients they need while they go off to get the blood of the mayor, the Reverend. Gilbert goes to the cemetery to dig up Billy Butcherson, a zombie.
From the first movie.
Right. Billy agrees to help Gilbert to kill Winifred. Back in the dungeons, the two girls find a way to escape. They call the mayor and warn him about Cassie's party at his house. At the town's festival, the sisters get up on stage and do their act, but they don't win. It's a cosplay contest.
Who looks most like the Sanderson sisters?
They don't win. Half the town is dressed up like the legendary characters. And this ends up with a musical number, one way or another, as they enchant most of the populace to chase down the mayor, which I thought was kind of clever.
Yeah. I like that part.
Gonna get you. Yeah. Are we going to spoil this whole thing?
Oh.
Because it's so new.
All four of these are new this week. I guess we're going to have a short show. Probably should stop there.
We should go easy there. Yeah. But anyway, stuff happens. Hilarity ensues. Witchery happens. Spells are cast.
No one dies.
No, because it's a Disney and it's very fluffy. This is a fluffy Disney.
All right. Well, I don't remember the first one being this silly. There's a lot of comedy here. I suspect the biggest fans of the original are now in their 40s, and this is just kind of a childish Disney show. Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem like it's going to appeal to the same people that like the first one. The production values are excellent. The acting is appropriate, I guess, if it's not always good. Mm-hmm. The three young actresses playing the witch trio when they were little really had it down. The special effects are great. Overall, though, I think we were both pretty bored through this because it's a kid's movie.
Yeah, about 3/4 of the way I really checked out on it.
I mean, there's a lot of kids' horror movies out there that are entertaining to adults.
This
wasn't
isn't
it?
one of them.
No.
No. Musical numbers are pretty good.
Is there really there's really just the one
There's really
song,
the one
is there?
memorable one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They started with
There's
The
a
Witches
couple.
Are Back right in the beginning, but that was only a line or two.
Yeah, it wasn't much.
Yeah, I'm going to get you, whatever it was. It was
one
a
way
whole
or,
long
one
song.
way or another.
Yes.
Yeah. And the townspeople were dancing along to it. And,
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What up?
Brings us to Margaux from 2022.
Directed by Stephen C. Miller, written by Chris Bayrudy, Chris Silverston, and Nick Waters. Stars Madison Pettis, Vanessa Morgan, Jedediah Goodacre.
What a name.
Boy, if he's not playing a farmer, he's missing his choice. No, he's not a farmer in this.
No.
Hour and 44 minutes, trailer in the show notes. Spoiler free, what happens?
Overall, this one is entertaining, but you can't think about it too much. The technology, which is a critical part of the plot, is decades away from where we are now and might be where we never are. It's present day, but it's not supposed to be science fiction. It's not presented as science fiction.
There's no super
Which is
advanced
weird.
inventor or anything ever mentioned. It's
Yeah.
not like a mad scientist did this.
Yeah. Well, that aside, the effects in the house are very cool, and it's a guessing game of who will survive.
Yeah.
And from the studio, their quote is, "Margaux is now on digital and on demand. A group of friends celebrate their final college days in a vacation home equipped with an advanced AI system that develops a deadly mind of its own. Madison Pettis and Vanessa Morgan star in Margaux. Buy or rent Margaux and watch it today, rated R, from Paramount Pictures."
Yeah.
Or you could contact us for a giveaway.
Yeah. Contact
they
us
were nice,
in any which way that we're going to find
They
your
were nice
contact.
enough to provide some giveaways for us.
So basically, did you like it?
I did.
Yeah.
Overall,
I liked it overall too, yeah.
yeah, it overcomes that. I mean, it's good enough that it overcomes that fault of this is just so far beyond what our technology
Look at it
is.
as a horror. It's a very good horror movie. It's a kind of a stupid sci-fi movie. It just depends on the angle you're looking at it from.
They should have presented it as sci-fi, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, it worked. Overall, it worked for me, and I was entertained.
Okay.
So,
Well, we watch a man get out of the pool, dry off, and tell Margaux to play some music. Margaux is the AI that controls the house. He sits in a massage chair and relaxes. The chair gets carried away and crushes his head rather graphically. When his wife comes in and tries to unplug the chair, the outlet explodes. Then his hair does. Head does. Not his hair. His whole
hair
head
doesn't
goes
explode.
boom like a...
Splatters are good.
Credits
so right
roll.
off the bat, you got some idea of the gore involved here.
Oh, yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah.
Hannah is a college student who is learning to code. She meets up with her friend Drew. Friends Devin and Kayla join up, along with stoner friend Clay. They all started school together, and this road trip is kind of a last hurrah for the group of friends. Then Lexi comes over, and she's all whiny. None of them like her much, but she guilts them into taking her along. She already brought her bags, so what choice do they have? Hey, where are we going?
Here I am.
She's an annoying influencer. Hannah doesn't have any social media, but she's a computer major, so Lexi thinks that she's weird.
That is a little strange.
I don't know. I mean, somebody who's really into the science of it would know the privacy issues and probably would not go near social media with a 10-foot pole.
And she doesn't.
Otherwise, though, that's your job. You need to know these things. So, yeah, it's kind of a toss-up.
Yeah.
They've rented a huge house inside a compound with a large gate. They have to log into an app before they can even enter the front gate. This is a smart house, explains Drew. A lot of the house functions off this app, he says. They all, except Hannah, accept the terms of service and go inside.
That's a very smart house.
You know, that terms of service thing, they made such a show out of that. No, that really didn't come up again.
No, it didn't.
Yeah.
No.
The house recognizes Drew and unlocks the door for them. Facial recognition doesn't know who Hannah is because she has no social media. Apparently this thing gets out on Twitter and Facebook, looks at your face and knows who you are without actually creating an account.
Harvests all the information out there about you.
It's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Margaux, the house, introduces herself in the flashiest way possible. The kitchen table has Dr. Octopus tentacles. We know that's not going to go well. It's got, what did it do? I don't know. It just, yeah, they're Dr. Octopus's tentacles. You know it's going to go somewhere.
That was the first thing I thought of. It's Dr. Octopus.
Otherwise, it's an awesome house with all the amenities. Margaux demonstrates the entire place is basically a gigantic 3D printer. Margaux wants to get to know Hannah better, but Hannah doesn't want to install the app. Hannah's really into security and is very private, so she doesn't want to share her personal information with the computer. Everybody else has personalized bedrooms with pictures and toys and photos and stuff, and she's got this, looks like a
plain
blank,
gray
empty, yeah.
Because Margaux doesn't know what to do with it.
The 5 students hang out on the patio while Lexi plays in the pool alone. The pool vacuum tries to drown Lexi, but the others hear the screams and pull her out. She brushes off the incident. Later that night, Hannah goes down into a special all-white room. It's essentially like the Star Trek holodeck.
Yeah, that was neat.
Later, as they all play Truth or Dare, Clay dares Hannah to kiss Lexi, and Hannah's not into that. Lexi calls her flavorless, like a marshmallow. I like marshmallows.
Yeah, they have flavor.
Margaux does some creepy things with her 3D technology.
Nanobots. Nanobots are the key word there.
Okay.
Yeah. Nanotechnology. There's some buzzwords here being used.
I'll tell you what, the people who run Westworld wish they had this technology.
Mm-hmm.
Margaux makes a whole room full of pot and smoking stuff for Clay to play with over the weekend, because he's the stoner. Kayla and Devin's room is full of bondage toys, because they're into that. That all goes well until Kayla is electrocuted and Devin is crushed to death by the ceiling. Drew and Hannah get some bonding time, and then they go to bed separately.
Mm-hmm.
The next morning, things get weird.
They do.
And devolve from there.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is supposed to be happening in the present day as far as I can tell. I mean, when they're out in the university and the laptops they're using all look like regular stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the technology of the house is way beyond anything that could happen today. Still, it's a mighty fine house. I'd stay there even with a crazy computer.
Yeah, great house.
Well, we've been watching insane, murderous AI houses since way back with Demon Seed in 1977. That's the earliest one I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go further back?
What year was this house possessed? Do you remember that one?
Oh, I don't know that one.
Yeah, it was one of those. That one was more supernatural, though.
Oh, yeah. Always supernatural stuff.
Yeah.
Demon Seed had a crazy computer and a robot.
Okay, this house possessed was 1981.
Oh, okay. Well, this has much... We need to watch Demon Seed one of these days. I'm pretty sure we have it somewhere in our vast library of horror. This has much better effects than the one from 1977.
I remember liking Demon Seed a lot.
But isn't quite as logical or believable as that one. This one's got a hint of Westworld throw in with the duplicate people, which is interesting. The first 2/3 of the film was fine, but the ending was kind of dumb. Not bad, just, don't think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow, Margaux became a physical creature that could be killed by her own duplicates that somehow Hannah was able to take over and control, although we never see her do anything really technical at any point.
A few strokes on the keyboard. And
we're told that she did this, yes.
Well, it's kind of like, hackers on, detective shows and stuff like that. It's fancifully done. Enter a couple lines of code and boom, you've hacked.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. That's the way it works. Yep.
Yeah.
So, that takes us to our short film this week called Sewn Up. Written and directed, just directed by Jacob Arbitier, written by Ken Rudnick, stars Autumn Witts, Manette LaChance, and Cameron Coulter. 3.5 minutes. It's a shorty.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, there's a link in the show notes to watch the whole thing. What happens?
Well, a mother hides her son after a terrible accident. The sister wants to see him, but the mother won't allow it. Well, eventually the sister gets into the room to see how Max is doing, and sometimes people get better after an accident.
I guess it all depends on your definition of better.
Yeah.
Well, the actress playing the mother is really good at playing flaky. She's weird.
She is weird.
I might think maybe it's the actress herself. It's a little hard to tell here.
Well, she's so natural. That's a good job.
She's either a
When you can't
real
tell.
weirdo who's a bad actor, or a good actress being weird. And
She's good at she's good at the
50-50.
job. Yeah, she does the job well here.
The daughter does a great job at being distraught. The camera work and sound are really well done. It's short, it's simple, and it's a complete story, even though we don't get all the details. Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, which takes us to our weird one this week.
Which is also
You'd think Hellraiser would be the weird one, but it's not.
which is also new out just this
Just this past week.
in the U.S. Yeah, directed by
It's called Kratt.
Kratt, Kratt.
Right, yes.
And what country was this again?
Oh, boy. I'm sure we'll cover it at some point.
Yeah.
I think Estonia.
Yeah, yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Directed by Rasmus Marivu and also written by Rasmus. Stars Mari Lil, Nora Marivu, Harry Marivu. I'm seeing some Marivus here.
His kids.
And some Elsie Teco. Runtime's an hour and 47 minutes. It is in not English, and we watched a subtitled version of it.
And it was still very funny.
Oh, yes. I was so pleasantly surprised by this.
Yeah, if you watch the trailer, which is in the show notes, it looks like, these kids build a fairy tale monster, and things go awry.
There's so much more to it than that.
There is. And it's not a kid's show.
It's so weird and so funny and so gross and so, just so many things. Yeah, I was so pleasantly pleased with this one.
Children are not spoiler-free part. Children are left at grandma's without their smartphones. Real life seems boring, and working feels hard. Luckily, they find instructions for building a Kratt, a magical creature from an old Estonian mythology who will do whatever its master says. All they have to do now is buy a soul from the devil. Wait, what?
Easy peasy.
Life stops being boring in a very bloody way. And before we get into any kind of spoilers or anything, I think this was our best thing this week.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Best thing of multiple weeks, maybe.
Not the thing we were
way
looking
up there.
forward to the most. We had never even heard of this.
We were looking forward to Hellraiser.
Yeah,
thinking
we
that
were.
was going to be the
Yeah,
best
we
one,
were.
but no.
I've been looking forward to Hellraiser since they announced it, more than just about anything else this year.
Mm-hmm. Most
What
anticipated.
a waste of time.
But we'll get to that.
Kratt, though.
First, we have Kratt. It starts out in 1895, and we watch someone with wild hair killing people. Give me work, he demands. And he kills everyone, basically. Credits roll. Happy starting. Well, in the modern day, the parents have been given a surprise trip, and they need to leave the children with Grandma way
It's
out
an
in the country.
adults-only trip.
Yes. Mm-hmm. When we find out why later. Oh, is it an adults-only trip? Dad complains that the children are addicted to their phones, and getting away from that can only be a good thing. Well, we see a bunch of people out in the woods carrying torches and singing. They wait for a man and a tree-cutting machine. This is an ancestral grove, a sacred place, and they don't want the farmer to cut down the trees there. They've spiked the trees to keep him from cutting them down. Well, the owner of the land complains he's got a lot of money invested and he needs those trees down. Back at Grandma's house, Mia and Kevin whine about not being able to do anything without their phones. She puts them to work on the farm, and that's just inconceivable to them. But Grandma's like, if you don't work, you don't eat. That gives some incentive.
But why do you have to, feed the chickens?
Yeah, they don't know how farms and animals and stuff work.
Nope.
They get a lesson, yeah. Well, the farmer gets a permit to cut down the trees, and the governor gives him a candle as a gift. The governor laments that the people on Facebook hate him. His advisors say he needs to figure out what the people want and get that for them, but he's not into that. Men are there to take books from his office in the library.
They're clearing out the
To the
whole
library.
governor's palace. It's like a dilapidated, fallen down place. The room
This
is
was
empty except for his desk.
And this was actually the building where it started in 1895, That's the same building.
Same place, yeah.
So
they're clearing out the governor's stuff.
well, the kids make some new local friends in the little town, Julie and August. But the new kids don't have phones either. They play outside like barbarians. Yeah. Well, that night, Grandma tells them a story about when she was little. She decided to build herself a Kratt. A Kratt is a being you build to do work for you, and it'll bring you mountains of gold.
Like a golem.
Kinda, yeah. Well, the old count lost his journal, which had the instructions for making a Kratt. Grandma was never able to find that book, so it never worked.
Everybody knows about these things, but nobody knows the secrets.
Right, you have to have that magic book. Well, guess what they find? The next morning, the kids all go to the library. Governor goes next door to the blood drive place. There's a bunch of people there protesting for the sacred woods. Governor says he wants to help, and he signs their petition and donates blood. He signs their petition to save the sacred forest.
And just yesterday, he signed the petition, the permit for the guy to cut down the sacred forest.
Yeah, he's a little two-faced here. Could be a politician, yeah. Well, Mia finds the Count's journal in the boxes from the governor's place, the ones they cleared out and took to the library. The authentic magic book. Well, that night the kids stay over at August and Julie's place, and their parents are some of the protesters. They take out the book and read the instructions. The next morning, back at Grandma's, they build a Kratt out of the junk that's laying around. And that night, the kids break into the blood bank, steal a bag of blood to activate the Kratt. It's so funny. Satan's little helper shows up to bargain with the children. He's the wild-eyed guy, wild-haired guy.
The pre-credits.
Yeah, the actor's a little person. He offers them fizzy drinks and fentanyl.
Which is, of course, if you're going to deal with some 10-year-olds, you want to offer them fizzy drinks and fentanyl.
Yeah. Well, Grandma finds the Count's journal, and she recognizes what it is. And then she finds the Kratt outside and tries to pull it down, but it falls on her and impales her. Elsewhere, the farmer fires up his harvester and goes after the sacred trees. The four kids go home, find a pile of junk where Kratt stood, and also Grandma's glasses. But where is the old woman? Well, she's inside, having grown wild hair. And there's a tool stuck through her head, but that doesn't keep her from working. Yep, she's the Kratt now. Give me work.
Give me work.
She insists. And she does everything she's told, as the Kratt was made for work.
And things go badly from there.
Oh, and they get so weird. And so
very, very weird.
Yeah.
Well, I got to admit, I've never seen anyone fly with explosive fart gas before. That was a major laugh for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
This one's from Estonia, which I don't know that we've ever seen anything from there before, so that makes it kind of interesting in itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird mix of old legends, rural farms, cell phones, drones, and quantum computers, which all comes together in a really freaky way.
Mm-hmm.
There's just all kinds of oddball humor and stupid stuff going on in this one. Even the weird is music. Even the music is weird.
Yeah, make sure you pay attention.
Yeah, read the subtitles.
Read the subtitles to the lyrics.
It's weird, funny, has lots of unexpected surprises, and we both like this one a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kratt. All right, so I think probably for me at least, I think my favorite horror movie of all time, my favorite 3 horror movies of all time, The Thing, Alien, and Hellraiser.
The first Hellraiser is right up there on my list, too.
And the second Hellraiser is way up there, too.
Yes.
I mean, it went downhill from there, but everything does.
Mm-hmm.
This was supposed to be a reimagining, reboot, refresh of the entire series, starting over with a remake of the first movie.
And Clive Barker was in on it. You know, I thought,
what the hell is wrong with him?
Oh.
This ain't it.
Yeah.
Directed by David Bruckner, written by Ben Collins, Luke Piotrowski, and David S. Goyer, stars Odessa Azion, I think I might be saying that right, Jamie Clayton and Adam Faison, 2 hours and 1 minute, so it's long.
A little.
Trailer in the show notes.
Spoiler free?
Yeah, what happens?
Well, this seemed like another so-so sequel rather than a reboot or reimagination, as some have called it. The new Pinhead and the other Cenobites looked really good, what we could see of them. The movie is dark and low saturated, which makes visibility really bad on our television during daylight hours. And it might have been good and, better lighting-wise in a dark theater, except it's made for Hulu. Hulu is television. They made it for television and that dark. So, well, the story was okay, and the effects were cool, at least what we could see of them. But overall, it was very disappointing.
Game of Thrones did this year famously a couple years ago. They had the biggest battle of the entire series at night.
And all you see is the little glowy torches, barely.
You could barely see anything. And there's what was that one? Caveat we watched about a year ago. Mm-hmm. The second half of that, it was black. We couldn't see anything. People say, "Oh, you need a better TV. You need a new TV."
Well, maybe.
Our TV is not that old.
We've got a very modern television. Yeah.
We do watch these things most of the time during the day because that's the way our schedule works. But that's all right. We watched Halloween Ends yesterday, and half of that took place in the dark, and we could see everything that was going on.
Yeah.
It all depends on if they want you to see what's happening or not.
They can make it happen if they want to.
Sure, they can. Yeah, don't tell us we need a new TV. It's for 40 years. Well, not this TV. But,
no, not this. Yeah, this isn't a 40-year TV.
There's like 4 or 5 movies in the past couple of years that you just couldn't see diddly squat, and I'm not going to blame the TV.
Well, and and those were theatrical release movies too, but especially the point that
Game of Thrones wasn't, and that was probably the worst offender.
We're talking about this one though.
Yeah.
What irks me about this is it's not a theatrical release movie; it's for television. Yeah.
I know there was stuff in this we missed.
Yeah.
Well, okay, we begin in Belgrade, Serbia. A woman brings a man, this is not subtitled, it is an English movie.
Yes.
A woman brings a man a suitcase full of money for a special box. She says that she's here for Mr. Voight, as he doesn't do anything that he can't get someone else to do for him. Later, this same woman talks to Joey at a party. She mentions that Mr. Voight would love to meet Joey in 10 minutes. And Joey's probably thinking this is some sort of sex thing.
Mm-hmm. But he's okay with it, I guess.
Yeah. Joey walks into the designated room and sees the small brass puzzle, but it's not a cube now. It's long with a complex shape. Voight walks in and tells Joey to go ahead and play with that box. Do I win a prize? No, but I do. Joey fiddles with the box and Voight watches. As Joey completes the puzzle, a big blade comes out and goes through his hand. Think that's new.
Ouch.
Voight locks the door so Joey can't leave. The walls open up. Chains come out. And Voight picks up the puzzle as Joey is torn apart by the chains. Voight says he wants an audience with Leviathan. Credits roll.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, that was all pretty cool. I like that part.
And we could see it.
It was a brightly lit room. 6 years later, Riley introduces her boyfriend Trevor to her brother Matt and his boyfriend Colin and their roommate Nora. The 4 of them are sharing the place. Matt mentions that Riley has been sober for 6 months, and he's afraid she'll relapse if she keeps seeing the scuzzball Trevor that she's been seeing.
Yeah, you don't think much of Trevor.
Later, Trevor tells Riley about a warehouse full of millionaire shit, as he calls it, and he wants to rob the place. They share some drinks while they're at it. What? Drinks?
The brother was right. Mm-hmm. So much for being clean and sober.
Riley and Trevor enter the dark warehouse. Inside is a big safe. He doesn't know the combination, so it's a long night of hammer banging. Inside the box is another box. And inside that box is the puzzle box, which is now square again. Trevor was hoping for cash, so he lets Riley take the cute little box home until they can find an appraiser for it.
Yeah, it might be worth something. Yeah.
When she gets home, Matt tells her to leave in the morning. He's through with her crap. He knows she's been drinking.
Mm-hmm.
She leaves immediately and packs up her car, pops a few pills, and goes to the playground to mess with the puzzle box. When it shoots out the blade, it misses her hand. She passes out from the drugs and starts seeing strange people. That blade was meant for you, she hears. If not you, bring us another. Meanwhile, Matt goes looking for Riley. He spots her passed out in the park. He cuts himself on the puzzle box's blade. As Matt goes into the restroom to wash the wound, the puzzle box starts moving on its own. Weird stuff happens, and when Riley follows Matt into the restroom, he's gone.
Cenobites got him.
Nora and Colin want to wait for the police to investigate, and Riley says that the box had something to do with Matt's disappearance. Colin blames Riley for not remembering what actually happened, All that other stuff must have been a hallucination. Riley goes to Trevor's place, but she's still seeing scary figures. They decide to investigate the owner of the warehouse where they got the box. They track down Serena in a hospital, and she's the woman who bought the box for Voight and sent Joey in as a sacrifice. She says she sorted out Voight's estate after his death 6 years ago. Serena then gets cut by the box, and Riley and Trevor leave. As soon as Serena is alone, the Cenobites come for her. "Save your breath for screaming," one says. Yeah, and then stuff happens.
Stuff happens.
Not going to spoil this one either.
Cenobites and things.
Well, a lot of the film was so dark that we couldn't quite see what was happening, and this is becoming an unfortunate trend with modern horror films. Although we do get a pretty good look at Pinhead and one or two of the others, most of the shots of the Cenobites are all so dark you can't actually see most of them. Do they intentionally make films that can't be watched in the daylight? This was made for freaking Hulu, not an IMAX theater. Well, everybody called this a remake or a reboot.
A reimagining.
This story here is nothing like the original Hellraiser from '87.
It's pretty different.
That was all about getting this one guy rebuilt from the dead. Mm-hmm. He had to, take blood. You can read our review. It's on the site. The original got into the themes of pleasure, pain, sex, and suffering. This was just mostly a bunch of people running around in the dark trying to avoid monsters. With the exception of recasting Pinhead, which has been done before, we did our review of Hellraiser Judgment. It was like episode 2 or 3, way back.
And that was, you make an interesting point there. The pleasure and pain and the sex and the suffering. And this was mainly just pain and suffering.
I don't remember there being any sex in this, actually.
Right. Yeah, they left out the pain and pleasure part. It was the sex and pleasure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was the original dealt with the theme of, the pain is so intense that it becomes pleasurable.
Mr. Voight kept saying he was sexual, a seeker of pleasure, and we never see anything.
All they get is pain. All he gets is pain.
There's nothing positive out of this.
Yeah. They don't have that balance, that two-sided thing that the first version dealt with.
They missed the point.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
Well, with the exception of recasting Pinhead with a woman, which he has been recast before, this could just be a continuation of the original series.
Well, and
there's a few new touches, like the box changing shape, which it did that in some of the originals.
Yeah, and Pinhead, it's actually the priest.
Yeah,
Pinhead.
Yeah, they don't call anybody the Pinhead here.
Yeah, androgynous, very very much androgynous, more so on this one, and which is how the priest was in the book.
Yeah. I have read the book. I don't remember that much about the book. I don't care about the book. I like the movie.
The movie, yeah.
Yeah.
It's about the movie because that's what we're watching.
Well, the character of Colin seems to be a good guy here. He's looking out for everybody else, but none of the others, including Riley, who is the main character, were even remotely sympathetic.
Not very much.
I wouldn't hang around with any of these people. Almost nothing was explained about the box or the Cenobites or anything else, which is why I say this might as well just be a continuation of the old series. They didn't change the rules. There's no new details. There's no new origin story. This is not a reboot or imagining. The box is there, and if you play with the box, it calls the Cenobites, and bad things happen. Mm-hmm. That's it. There's no new origin story for anybody.
Not really.
There's no new origin story for the box. There's no real explanations. It's just a couple of new characters.
Could have been a sequel.
I suppose if you've won the TV lottery and have a TV where you can actually see the movie, it might be good, but I have my doubts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is the biggest disappointment for the year. And this is after having watched Halloween Ends that we're going to talk about next week.
I think the biggest disappointment for the year was the recent 3 Halloween movies.
Okay, well, that's a discussion for next time.
Mm-hmm.
And that is our show for the week. Again, we have copies of The Visitor that we haven't talked about yet, and Margaux that we did just now talk about. Email us, DM us on Facebook, send us a private message on
Facebook,
Twitter. Don't matter.
Reach us.
If you can find us, let us know, and we'll send you a copy.
Yeah.
And that's it for this week. I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
And we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Oh, but first, what do we got next week?
We have movies.
Yeah. Okay, never mind.
You didn't tell me what the next week's...
There are many movies coming in.
I know what we've seen. The Visitor, I know, is one of them, and Halloween Ends.
I have like 20 independent movies in my email box that producers are saying.
It's October.
Everybody sent them for
season.
October. All the big budget horror movies are coming out this month. All the little horror movies. Oh, there's not enough days, one a day to do this month. Mm-hmm. Picking and choosing.
Yeah.
What are we watching next week? I don't know. We'll see. Okay, well, anyway, I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
We'll see you next week.
See ya.